This podcast contains explicit language.
And spoilers. Only if you suck.
I actually went through the whole procedure. I'm like, okay, close all my windows, shut down, restart, do-do-do-do-do.
I've already restarted about 4 times tonight.
Yeah, well, fuck you.
I have no idea what was going on there. I did a recording of myself in the channel, and it heard me. Then you came back on, and you can hear me.
Odd. Maybe it was me, after all.
Usually a good thing to go by.
What thing?
That you're at fault.
I always consider that I'm at fault. See, I have an ego, Dave, and part of that ego is that I actually consider that I might be wrong.
That's where you go wrong. I know I'm not wrong.
But the thing is, by doing that, I eventually become a more perfect being. Cell himself looks at me and goes, fuck, that guy's perfect.
You're getting closer to me, that is true.
Yeah. Do you absorb androids through your anus like Cell does?
If you never ask me another question about that, yes.
Do the androids like it?
No more questions.
I never agreed to this.
You spoke. Verbal agreement.
I don't think that's how they work, Dave.
I don't know. I guess we all verbally gave away the right to buy used games. Or sell our used games.
Yeah, totally. Speaking of which, today on Two Fat Guys Talk Games, one Xbox to rule them all. But who will rule the post-apocalyptic future? New buff-ass Soul or Ponytail Kai in the new Guilty Gear trailer? Plus, hallways, are they or are they not man's greatest nemesis? Today on Two Fat Guys Talk Games.
Sounds like a good intro to me.
I actually practiced that a few times.
Oh, I believe it. It didn't have the usual rambling you have.
I rambled a bit at the end because I forgot what I was going to say.
I'll give it to you.
Okay, so let's talk about how shitty that fucking conference was.
Oh, boy.
So
fuck.
Hang on. Let's start. I'd like to know what you liked about it. Oh, actually, let's do a little intro for our readers. Our listeners. This is about the Xbox reveal that happened earlier today, May 21st. The Xbox One console. Many things were revealed. Oh yes, many things. And here to tell us what he liked of what he saw is Dave.
Ooh. I liked the controller. It looks like a reasonable upgrade to the current 360 pad.
Agreed.
I love that how that D-pad looks. Look, the first time they may have not fucked it up.
It looks like a D-pad I could, snuggle with in bed.
And yet, I'm worried about their whole vibrating trigger finger thing.
Now I really want to take this to bed.
I thought that would get your attention. Not really liking the moving of the actual Xbox button. It kind of looks like it's looking at me.
Dave, nothing about this reveal makes it seem like the Xbox is watching you.
Except it totally is. However, back to things I liked. Let's not segue into the bad quite yet.
Oh, because we'll have a lot to talk about there.
Oh boy, yeah, when we get started on that, I don't think it's going to end. What I did like some of the graphical things they showed, the advancements. I mean, I don't care about Call of Duty at all, but it was neat to see that it's finally reaching the PC graphics of 5 years ago.
Indeed.
I did like the fact that, just as I thought it was going to have, it is going to have a Blu-ray drive. No shocker there.
I was still a little shocked, I gotta admit.
And that there is having to eat crow on your medium or actually being competitive. And the Blu-ray drive was a necessity, so that was a no-brainer.
Gotcha.
I did like the little bit they showed us of Bungie's Destiny project, but that is it's so far into the early concept stage, it seems, of what they're willing to show us. It's an interesting concept, but that's all it is right now.
Plus, we saw quite a bit of that in the PlayStation 4 reveal.
So, no exclusivity there. Forza did look very pretty, but I don't believe a single bit of that was actual gameplay. That was very obviously pre-rendered stuff.
Yeah, I was looking at that, and at the time I was still on the Xbox.com choppy stream, so I was a little bit like, is this pre-rendered? Is this actual? I'm not sure. When I saw videos later and when I moved to a better stream, it became very obvious.
You could tell by the camera angles. You would never play a racing game with those camera angles.
Well, keep in mind, a preview can have dynamic camera angles, but still be the in-game engine.
That didn't look it.
Like, when they show the new characters in Injustice, or even in the Guilty Gear Xrd trailer, they showed some dynamic angles, but it's still all in-game stuff. But I still agree, Forza does look pre-rendered.
I kinda dig the whole Dynamo mask sort of look to the actual Xbox One console. The whole black, light gray, checker pattern.
When you say Dynamo mask, what's that term mean?
I may be using it out of context, but Dynamo masks were, they tended to have, unless I'm completely off basis, which is possible in this case. I like the checker pattern to it.
It could also be that I just don't know what the hell a Dynamo mask is. But yeah, I do kind of dig that as well.
It is a little big, though.
It's a boat. That thing, I always talk about hitting things and being able to kill men by hitting things, but I think this is the first time I could kill 2 men with one console and one throw.
So what did you like about it? Because I'm done.
The things that you said you liked, I generally agree with. I kind of dig, without all the other considerations, the negatives that I will get into, I do like the idea that a game console can act as your cable box. I think that's interesting because that's another piece of tech I don't need to have.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there for 1 second, Carlos.
Go ahead.
It doesn't work as your cable box. That is a misconception. It still requires your cable box.
Okay, fine, but if it can be my shell and I can interact with my cable via this one thing, even if I have to have the other device still plugged in somewhere, I'm okay with that. I think that's kind of cool. I do think, with the exception of having to control all this through voice, this better not be a requirement. It totally is going to be, though. I kind of dig the idea of being able to watch a sporting event and seeing live player stats on the side for those broadcasts that it supports. If I watched more sports, that'd be awesome. If I was, okay, I was about to segue into a negative. I'll hang on to that.
I will make one comment on that. This is kind of negative, but I have full faith that between the NFL and Microsoft, they're going to charge you for that feature.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. I'm hoping FIFA will be nice and offered for free. They won't. FIFA offers a surprising number of things for free, but I don't think this is going to be one of them.
Anything else?
Everything else you mentioned is also on my list for things I liked. That's about it. All right, Dave. Start us off.
Let me just cock the shotgun here. Okay, here we go. Holy fuck. Number one, I was bored in this thing. I mean, they waited a month to do this freaking thing, and that's what they gave us? They should have shut their mouth and waited for E3. Seriously.
That was the worst console reveal presentation I've ever seen.
Even Nintendo's last year was better.
Here's the thing. As much as we dislike Nintendo, at the very least, they showed games, and they showed the extra non-game stuff in line with that. It wasn't the main feature.
I had a feeling that Microsoft was going to do this based off of how they've been updating the Xbox interface and everything else. I also hate the fucking name. Xbox One is the most asinine name they could have called it. They should have called it what was rumored, the Xbox Infinity or something, but the Xbox One? Seriously?
Well,
You're calling it the Xbox One because you want it to be the one device you want to have in your house? Fuck you!
You know what? I'm okay with the name, and I'm okay with the name thematically with that whole theme. That I don't mind. I do mind
That's
when
one
the
bitch slap.
I do mind when the presentation is saying shit like, you and your TV are going to have an intimate relationship. Fuck you.
Oh, fuck.
You're going to embrace your television like never before. Kiss my ass, Microsoft person. Okay, so I was on Twitter during this whole thing, and I was chatting with you on Skype, and a lot of what I was telling you I was also tweeting, and I saw a bunch of other people tweet. Now, I don't like Movie Bob one bit, okay? But he tweeted something that's worth mentioning, and it went something like this. Hey, Microsoft, I watch NFL at a bar with my friends. Show me some fucking games.
That is awesome. And that is how... I mean, okay, let's face it. The main drive for consoles, you can call me on this all you want, but the main reason consoles sell is because of the motherfucking gamers. We are the ones who buy it at launch date for game XYZ. We want the games, show us the fucking games. Don't just blow down our throats your multimedia experience. I don't want to get a blowjob from my TV. I don't want to offer me one either.
Your TV will give you a fellatio like never before.
I almost could have believed they would have said that in the reveal, because they really rammed home the whole Kinect is the future of the Xbox console. And most of the stuff I'm pissed off about wasn't even in the reveal today. It was during the QA session afterward that people had to ram down their throats to get answers for.
I was going to say your TV can give you a rim job like never before, but I didn't want to interrupt your anger because it is so exquisite and delicious, and I am hanging on every word. Please continue.
We got fed a very piss-poor experience. I love the fact that they tried to ram down our throats the Call of Duty game. They shoved Call of Duty down our throat near the end there. Is the way they ended. I mean, it was so under... Oh, what's the word I'm looking for?
Underwhelming?
Yes, it was so underwhelming because they give us these graphics. Oh, even more so. Because here they show off Call of Duty, and I mean, yes, there's a lot of people out there who like Call of Duty. They're idiots, but they like it. Okay, we all like our different games. You and I like Gears of War and Halo to a certain point. They like Call of Duty, great. But they shove down our throats this is how the graphics have changed. Look at all the polygons, and here's a jungle from before, and here's a jungle now. This is all concept, guys. You did not show me game... Okay, they showed us multiplayer gameplay. I'll give them a little bit of credit there. But the highlight to the entire Call of Duty thing was the dog.
Yeah,
And only because I was like, okay, let me get this straight. You're pulling some shit where these guys are what's left of the U.S. military special forces, and they have a motherfucking dog who's gonna give them away.
Oh,
Stop insulting my fucking intelligence.
Oh, and it's going to be a deep, engaging storyline experience, aka the dog is gonna die.
Oh, probably.
The aspiring screenwriter in me can already tell you the outline for this story.
Actually, I think one of them's going to have to kill the dog to keep it quiet, or else it'll reveal them.
Okay, why are we discussing this? The whole point.
It's just so asinine. I mean, we saw that. We saw Forza. We had the NFL shoved down our throat. Show us the games that have sold so well on your fucking console. You said you had 15 games that was going to be exclusive to your motherfucking console. 8 of them new freaking series. Where are they?
Exactly.
You can try and say, oh, they're leaving all the good stuff for E3. No. This is your motherfucking console reveal. You give us the good shit now, or at least give us fucking teasers. Don't bore us to fucking death with the Kinect and the Minority Report. Ooh, I'm shrinking the screen. Now I'm enlarging it. Go to the TV. Oh, look, there's the Wheel of Fortune. I wonder how much Wheel of Fortune paid for that little advert. Let's watch a movie. Oh, there's Star Trek. Look, Star Trek's coming out.
Dave, I have to correct you. It was The Price is Right.
Oh, sorry. The Price is Right. You are exactly correct. Wrong wheel. Anyway.
I'm exactly right without going over.
Exactly. I mean, must have cost them a freaking arm and a leg to have that little advert as well as Star Trek. But, I mean, the bottom line is they started us off with the multimedia experience of just how great Kinect was going to make our lives and make our TV become a part of us. And they talked about different devices in your home. I'm pretty sure that's where the rim jobs came from, that everything was going to be all just one thing that really gets me there is they talked about multiple TVs and multiple screens in your home. Now, I don't know about you, I have a computer, but the only screen I use for my Xbox, my PlayStation, everything else is my motherfucking TV. And it doesn't move between TVs.
I do have a computer. I'm sitting at my computer monitor, and one day I'm going to stop being lazy and move it over to my TV and hook it up.
But, I mean, not only did it insult our intelligence, but they cherry-picked the stuff they wanted to mention during it, and tried to not reveal the main questions that people have had for the past 6 months. I mean, the big thing I had is used games, always on connection, and is that motherfucking Kinect required? And so we go into the area that I start to cry and just say, fuck you, Microsoft.
Well, actually, just to cap off what was said in the presentation, when they got to Call of Duty, I was actually like, holy shit, are we going to see a game? Because the one they showed before, Quantum Effect or whatever it was called, like, you know what would have impressed me if they were like actual in-game renderings during the video? I would have been pretty damn impressed at that point. I would have been like, whoa.
Speaking of quantum of dipshit, all I could think of during that whole thing was, okay, great, we got generic shooter with a time element. I've only seen that a few dozen times in the past generation.
I have no issue with generic shooter with a time element, if they showed me how it plays.
Well, and that's just, that was half the problem throughout the few games they did show. We didn't see anything played. It was all video.
But we totally saw the Xbox experience.
Yeah. We got fucked alright.
Yeah, we did. But you were about to go into the used games and the other stuff.
Let's start there. Oh, actually, I will go back for 1 second to what I did like.
Go ahead.
I like the fact that they are including a Let's Play recording device within the console, so you can record playing the games.
That is very cool.
I thought that was kind of neat.
I agree.
Moving on to the unfortunate stuff, though. And I've got to say, I hate to use these words because they're so overused. And I mean, I love my Sony PS3. I love my Xbox 360 for different reasons. But Microsoft fucked up here. They really did. I mean, we learned after the reveal that yes, you're going to be able to play used games, but you're going to be charged a fee to do that.
Yep.
You cannot bring a game over to a friend's place and play it because you are going to have to pay for it. Full fucking price. Now, caveat here, they have not told us yet if I log into your Xbox with my profile, if it will then try and charge. We don't have that answer yet. I've been through a number of sites on the topic, and we don't know yet. So, a little bit of a caveat there, but still, I can't borrow you my game and allow you to play it because it's going to charge you. Full price. Now, that's not that I'm defending if it charged you a fee. Fuck that. I bought that game. I did. The fact that they're giving the equivalent of a serial key for PC for it, you might as well own a fucking PC.
Yeah, that's what Angry Joe said in his rant. He's like, oh great, they took away the console advantage. Might as well just get a PC now.
I mean, they're talking about how you'll be able to sell your Xbox One games. But they're talking an online solution. They're not talking taking it down to a brick and mortar store. They're basically, this is their way of getting rid of GameStop. That is the only reason they are doing this, is because they want to get rid of GameStop. And really, I understand they don't like it, but I doubt that money is going to the actual publisher. And I somehow doubt that Microsoft isn't taking a cut on every used game it's going to allow you to sell.
Oh, they're going to take a huge cut off it. They think it's going to print them money and that people aren't going to be super pissed at them for this.
Now, the one topic that I've been worried about a little bit, depending on where you are in the world and how your internet connection is, it either is or is not an issue for you, is the online, or the always online controversy. Now, they have come clean on it, and again, wasn't in the reveal, but it is not always online. It does take a heartbeat every 24 hours. So if your internet goes down, you better hope it isn't more than 24 hours, or else it's going to knock you off. And we don't know if this is an at midnight sort of scenario, if it's from 24 hours from the last time it did a heartbeat. Ultimately, 24 hours without internet, you're fucked.
Someone needs to make a GIF of the Evangelion mecha disconnecting from the power cord and displaying that 5-minute counter, but it's an Xbox One disconnecting from the internet and displaying a 24-hour counter with the background music and the panic.
So that's two of the really big isms. Relationship. I've got things in front of me because I'm just having to bleed out some of the complete and utter rage I've got to get in some of the actual details here.
During the conference, I tweeted, guys, chill the fuck out with the no game stuff. They'll get to it. Hang on. I really wish I didn't tweet that, because I was wrong.
Yes, you were.
Continue. I'm enjoying your rage, and have my own rage.
So, the Xbox One is not backwards compatible. Big fucking deal.
Yeah,
enough is enough here, guys. I'm sort of pissed off as well, but come on. Do you want this to be a $500 or $400 machine, or do you want it to be an $800 machine? Because to put the backwards compatibility in here would be freaking expensive. It's a new architecture. Ultimately, a lot of that just comes down to people not understanding how the games are programmed, the architecture, and everything else. So I'm going to give people a lot of leeway on this one because some people just don't understand. The ones who don't want to understand are the ones I have a problem with on that one.
Well, the thing is, I understand wanting this feature, and it would be nice if I did have the option to pay $800 and get an Xbox One that is fully Xbox 360 compatible and maybe even original Xbox compatible, who knows. That said, I tend to agree this is amongst the many sins committed by this particular Judas, not being backwards compatible is the minorest of all.
Exactly. No, this isn't even a nitpick. I was going to actually put it down to that, but the hard drive cannot be customer removed. I repeat, the 500 gig hard drive cannot be removed on a system where every game you play, you're going to have to install and not use the disc at all.
Oh, and these are Blu-rays. These are not small, little, shitty 360 discs either.
So, probably about 50, well, I'm going to say 20 to 40 gig per game. And they're giving us a 500 gig hard drive that we can't change. Even the frickin' 360, both of them gave us the opportunity to slap in our own hard drive.
Well, a proprietary Microsoft overpriced drive, but a swappable drive nonetheless.
We could still throw in our own if you wanted to get creative.
True.
Now, maybe the USB 3 slot on the back will give us further hard drive storage. I mean, USB 3 is pretty freaking fast, so that might just work. I don't know yet. So that's another caveat I'm going to put on there.
I'm a little miffed that it's just those two USB slots in the back.
They expect you to use a hub.
Yeah, and here's the problem, and this ties into a problem that I personally have, being a fighting gamer and someone who attends tourneys and friends' places, like what I'm going to do tomorrow evening. Part of fighting game tournaments is bringing our own damn controllers, and almost all of these controllers are wired. In fact, at most tournaments, they have to be wired. You cannot use wireless controllers. It's against the rules. And you plug those wired controllers into the super convenient USB slot on the front of the device. And maybe if it's taken, like people brought their USB sticks with games and whatnot, you might plug it into the back. Okay, fine. I don't understand why we're getting less ports and none on the front, and we have to use a hub. And to kind of shit on fighting gamers or any kind of competitive gamer even more, thanks to this whole used game fee bullshit, I can't take Persona 4 Arena over to a gaming center or a friend's house and have us all play the game. I can't do it. Because he's going to have to pay that fee, or I'm going to have to pay it, and then bring the disc over. It basically just means that I'm really glad I modded my stick with a PS360 Plus, which will no doubt be firmware updated for PS4 by the time it comes out, and I won't have to worry about Xbox One's shittiness.
Yep. I can't argue with any of that. Bringing up my next major beef. The Kinect must be plugged in at all times, and it must be able to see you for the unit to function.
Man, you know what I love about that? Nothing.
I referenced Minority Report about 10-15 minutes ago as part of my first part of this rant. And the whole arm waving thing, the whole speaking to my Xbox, guess what? I'm not interested. I don't want the Kinect as part of my gaming experience, my multimedia experience. I want the tactile feedback of my controller. And if Microsoft is going to make this mandatory, and for a number of reasons I think they're going to, including a couple of copyrights they put in for, then that is pretty much a game changer for me. At that point, it will not enter my house. I don't care what exclusives it has.
Yeah, they're putting me in a position where I'm seriously considering not getting Gears 4. And I don't want to make that call because I love Gears of War. But too high a cost, man. Too high a cost.
Game over, man. Game over.
Game over, man. It's going to see us. It's going to watch us all the time. You know, the art I made for the last podcast about watching us sleep? Fuck, I didn't realize how fucking accurate that was.
Oh, boy. And the Kinect brings me to the next thing to do with the Kinect. I don't know if you've read this yet, but I guess during the reveal today, the controls that dipshit there on the stage was doing actually turned off and paused people's Xboxes that were using Kinect live.
Is that so?
Yep.
We are stupid in the future. We are stupid in the future. The future is barren.
Here from people who actually experienced this. Like every time that he was doing things like Xbox or Xbox Live, people with Kinect actually experienced issues. Now, here's that feature would allow for some awesome trolling because the person is doing voice through their speakers during the Call of Duty game. What's to stop me from saying Xbox Live off and turning off the system?
I do agree. The skeptic in me is saying I want to substantiate these reports with evidence, but the cynic in me is not surprised if true.
It's not from Kotaku. It's from a site called Polygon.
I like how your first response is, it's not from fucking Kotaku. Jeez, Carlos.
Several users took to Twitter to document their problems, which include pausing, opening Xbox Live, or quitting the stream entirely. Polygon's own reviews editor, Arthur Geis, experienced similar problems with his Kinect while watching the stream.
Well,
booyah!
Well then. What the fuck, Microsoft? Holy shit.
Now, Microsoft would try and explain this as you're using the old crappy Kinect, which isn't looking through your lips moving or you staring tenderly into the Kinect sensor's eyes as you're telling it stuff. Fuck you, Microsoft.
That PlayStation 4 is looking real good right about now.
Oh, you know, they only
Xbox,
do a couple things.
Turn on my PlayStation 4. No, Carlos. Dave?
God, I cannot believe how badly Microsoft has managed to bungle this whole thing. It's shocking how out of touch with their audience they are.
According to Jeff Gerstmann, the people applauding in the audience, none of them were the journalists. It was all a bunch of people in the back.
Wow. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
I wish some of the journalists would have some balls and start booing.
But they'll get their magazines banned, and they're not allowed to do that.
I know.
It's tough.
Within about 5 minutes of the Call of Duty dog being revealed, he had a Twitter account. It's called @CallerDuty.
Nice. So yeah, today's reveal the reveal was shitty, and then all the details that the Q&A session brought out, the details that we really wanted to know, the used game situation, the backwards compatibility, the Connect always on, as well as the online always stuff. I mean, those were things that really, if Microsoft had had some balls, they would have actually said during the reveal, but they hoped that they could hide it. And yes, the cynic in me still says that Microsoft can do a 180 on here. I mean, they basically did with the title anyway, but they could do a 180 on here and reverse the way they're going with some things. But I don't think they're going to, especially... Okay, I gotta go into this. EA just holding up a torch and saying, we are protecting the rights of gamers. We are getting rid of our online passes. And the internet gave just a cheer fucking A. Yeah, get rid of that shit. Going the right way there, EA. And then we learn why they partnered with the Xbox One. Because used games can't go anywhere, because they are going to bend us over and fuck us forever.
It is so bad that this happened. At best, it was very mistimed. At worst, deliberately fucking contemptuous.
That's a good word for it, because it definitely... They showed nothing but contempt for their audience.
I really hope Gears 4 is multi-platform, I gotta tell you.
Well, here's the thing. Does Microsoft... They don't own that studio. They don't.
I don't know. I don't know if they
Epic.
own that. I don't know if they own that franchise, though. They might.
We can hope not, because if enough companies see just how pissed off people are going to be at the system, you could see another Nintendo Wii U happening here. I mean, look at what Microsoft has done over the past 6 months. They've fed us shit. They've got rid of their XNA development platform. They are basically telling the indie developers to get the fuck out. And really, Xbox Live Arcade is no longer a priority for them. That's all in the last 6 months, maybe to a year. Whereas Sony has come along and said, you're an indie? Welcome. We'll even waive the charges. Come to our system. Where Xbox, what? Is it 8 years now? Since the 360 came out? They opened up with such a strong library of support for the indies, for bringing everything onto their system. They went game-centric, bypassing a bunch of the up-and-coming multimedia stuff that they're doing now. They went after the hardcore audience, and I think you can very easily say that Microsoft has had the advantage in this console generation. They have sold extremely well. They've had a number of good titles that were exclusives. They sucked in the RPG category, but not everybody's into RPGs. But really, Sony had a harder to develop for system. And in a lot of cases, other than the fact that they had Blu-ray, games did tend to look better and play better on the Xbox. Yes, we can get into an argument there with people online all day, but side-by-side comparison, a lot of games did look better.
Yeah, it's, I think the best we can hope for is that Microsoft actually listens to this backdraft and changes shit. They can corporate spin it any way they want after careful consideration. We've decided it's not best for gamers to do this and not acknowledge that they fucked up. I don't care. That's politics. I'm used to that. But, this is a cool looking system. Get rid of this monstrous garbage attached to it. This almost fascist desire for control over my goddamn entertainment room, and we can talk.
Again, I hate saying it, but today's reveal and information afterward, this was a game changer. This is really the equivalent of us finding out that the Wii U was going to be an underpowered system from the get-go.
Maybe, but at least the Wii U is more of a oh god, it's more of a gaming system. Oh god, I just praised Nintendo. Oh god.
And that's fine, but at least they didn't hide it.
No, that's true. Nintendo didn't hide it. They're like, yeah, we're giving you an underpowered piece of crap, but it's a gaming underpowered piece of crap. And Microsoft's like, we got 8 gigs of RAM, and you need to have it on all the time.
Well,
and other noises.
I do like the fact that even on the system specs, I mean, 8 cores, okay? 8 of what cores? What's the processor speed?
No, dude, shut up. 8 cores. Just let it go, okay?
The RAM is actually rumored to be DDR3.
8 gigs. Just leave it at that, okay?
8 gigs, which is older than dirt. I mean, at least the PS3 has DDR5.
My 4-year-old MacBook or Mac Tower has 10 gigs in it. And 8 cores.
There you go. I mean, they've given us the bare minimum of what they had to tell us, but they didn't give us... Okay, it's a reveal. You're not going to give us everything. Fine. But again, give us something. Don't just... You know who that whole thing was actually put towards?
Shareholders.
Okay, I'm still talking consumers here. Beside the shareholders, jocks. You've got it exactly, because I'll tell you why. Call of Duty.
Here's the thing.
Hardcore douchebags.
I know quite a few jock types who like Call of Duty, who are also super friendly and play other games and are monstrously cool dudes.
But for this podcast, they're douches.
Nice.
Because it suits my purpose. See, now there's a Microsoft comment.
That is a Microsoft comment. While we're talking about Microsoft, this is the 3rd Xbox that they have released, or one might call it the Xrd Xbox. And what is Xrd? Here to explain what it is Dave.
Nice little segue there.
Segue.
Xrd is the new Guilty Gear game that we are really pumped for. And because God hates us, is going to be an Xbox exclusive.
Oh man. For a moment, I thought at the end of that conference they were going to do this by be like, and the latest game, Guilty Gear Xrd, is going to be an Xbox exclusive. No sharing. And then they'd have the trailer playing, and you could see Kai cutting himself, and they're like, what? Why is that in the trailer? And they're like, I don't know. So, this is what I thought watching the trailer to Guilty Gear Xrd. I'm like, oh wow, new sprites. They look pretty 360. Those are fucking polygons. And they are 3D models. And not Skullgirl style, where they're just painted onto a flat polygon. No, full-on 3D. And here's the thing. Everyone's like, Unreal Engine, it's so shitty. And I'm like, fuck you. This trailer shows you that it's not about the hyper vertices or the bump map bit stars or the hyperlinear trifilters or whatever the fuck a card or a piece of hardware can push. It's about making it look right. And ArcSys got it. They put one hell of a shader on these models, positioned them perfectly, and animated them such that the animation still kind of, and not in a bad way, was jerky enough that it looks like really good 2D, but has the benefit of being a 3D model. This is what style is all about. This is why style is better than hardware, with the caveat that you have to have a minimum amount of hardware to do this kind of style.
I can't argue because that trailer had me pumped. I'm looking really forward to it. Something that kind of surprised me is even during the quote-unquote little battle they were going into, they actually had their quotes in text. That'd be nice for once. Is if
Subtitles, you mean?
Subtitles for the motherfucking battle text.
Well, actually, Guilty Gear 2 and Persona 4 Arena both had dubs. And watching some Let's Play videos of Guilty Gear 2 Overture, which I never cared to play, but kind of wanted to see the story of, the dub voices they picked for Sol and Kai and all them, because those are the only two major characters that came back, were really fitting. And I kind of hope we see a dub with those voice actors coming back. One was Yuri Lowenthal, I think, because Yuri Lowenthal is in everything.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the dub didn't hurt them for doing Persona 4 Arena. So why would it hurt to do a dub for Guilty Gear finally?
Yeah, and especially in the Guilty Gear canon where Japanese is this rare thing. They're only speaking Japanese because it's a Japanese title. In the game's world, they are speaking English or French or non-Japanese languages.
Yep.
Now, even though I think Guilty Gear's story is silly beyond ridiculous and it's all belts and melodrama, it's grown on me over the years, so let's talk about the setting. According to the patent on Sol's weapon, because in the future you display your patent on your sword openly, it takes place 1 year after Overture, which was Guilty Gear 2, which took place 5 years after the Guilty Gear XX saga. What up?
Time frames have never really bugged me moving forward, 1 to 5 years, as long as it's done half decently.
Now, keep in mind, it's entirely possible that that's just a little Easter egg, and maybe this does take place before Overture. I really hope not, because I want to see the characters as they grew after that event, and it seems like Sol and Kai are on similar terms like they were in that game. But my apologies, I interrupted you. Please continue.
No, that was part of where I was going too, is you might as well stick to what you've already done. Don't go back and start wiping out storyline that you have actually done. Develop it, go with it, and work with it. I mean, while I haven't played Overture myself, I have read the storyline for it, and I found what I did read to be actually kind of intriguing. So, one thing I will point out is I really did enjoy the background art and just everything that was moving in the background while they were fighting.
Yeah, apparently, America's fucked up in Guilty Gear's future.
Yeah, that was the Statue of Liberty's head there.
And a couple of American flags outside what appears to be some kind of future saloon.
Yeah, and I mean, did you enjoy the fact that the couple people they showed in the background were moving?
I didn't notice people in the background. You'll have to point that out to me when I'm at your place next.
The sheriff outside the saloon actually moved and was like a living character.
Cool.
So I can definitely appreciate the effort that's going into that. They've obviously watched things like Skullgirls and the like, and they're seeing that people do like when things are happening in the background as well.
So, if this takes place after Overture, the character Sin is probably going to appear as a playable character. He would have to.
And that's fine.
And I'm not sure what other characters we'll see from Overture, but Dizzy was sealed in the Grove, and hopefully she'll be unsealed so she can be playable and give Kai wet sloppy kisses with both of her alternate personalities.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Friend of the show Rowan is no doubt looking forward to Bridget's appearance. He is not alone because I am also looking forward to that, and I'm sure you are as well.
The character is actually quite fun to play. After I got over calling him a she, took me a hell of a long time. Yeah.
I laughed at you so hard.
Yes, you did. It was a trap.
You know what? Bridget's still kind of cute, I gotta say. I am a mostly heterosexual dude, But if there were, okay, I don't like where this is going. Let's talk about other characters that might appear. We saw Milia Rage, or someone who appears to be very much like Milia.
We saw Zappa.
That wasn't Zappa, that was Zato.
Sorry, Zato.
And I'm not sure if it's Zato alive again, or if it's just Eddie controlling him like before.
Half a dozen of one, half a dozen of another.
I do like that Soul and Kai's look changed, but not too much. People were saying they didn't like the fact that Soul was buffer and Kai had a ponytail. I like these new features. I also like that both of them have new swords. Soul still had his in Overture, but I guess he got a new one. And Kai actually lost his Thunder Seal in Overture and was using something called Aquila, which was initially decorative, but he was modifying it to kind of make it suit his fighting style. I'm not sure what sword he's using, or if Soul is using an entire new one, but those swords that they have are very distinctive. Like Kai's is much shorter than it used to be, and Soul's appears to have a full-on fencing handle.
Yeah, no, change is good.
Change is good. And speaking of change, in games, there are changing environments as you progress through them. And sometimes change is good, and sometimes change is controlled and invariant. And as Spoonie would put it, as we've been watching his excellent Final Fantasy XII parody review series, shoutouts to Spoonie, the hallway. You wanted to bring up the hallway.
Ah, yes. The hallway. The never-ending hallway. The hallway may branch, but it always comes back to the hallway. Is the hallway good? Is the hallway bad? Is it just a representation of life itself?
That's deep. And I think that it is representative of life, but I think what's more important in gaming is whether or not the hallway suits the purpose of a game. Now, my issues with Halo 4 aside, I generally have liked the Halo series, even though, really, those games are just hallway encounter, hallway encounter, hallway encounter. As opposed to, say, Doom 1 or Doom 2, where the levels are more webbed, they're much more open, but they're still coherent structures that you have to find all the keys in and complete before you move on to the next one. I think if you're going to have the hallway, which probably exists in a meta state in every game that isn't an outright sandbox, the key is to make the hallway dynamic, fun, and not boring, and probably hide the fact that it's a hallway.
So, I mean, you and I have talked about this before, but I'm just going to ignore that. In the case of Spoonie, definite shout out to him because he's completely right on this one. Spoonie's review is on Final Fantasy 13. Now...
Oh, did I say 12?
No, you didn't.
Oh, good.
No, you didn't actually even mention Final Fantasy. You just said his awesome video.
I'm pretty sure I mentioned some Final Fantasy, but please continue.
So anyway, I think the Final Fantasy games are a fantastic illustration of the hallway in both its good and in its bad forms. I'm not going to go into the early Final Fantasies, even though those are still definitely good examples of the hallway. But I'm going to focus on Final Fantasy X, 12, and 13. Now, Spoonie rages on about the fact that the hallway never ends in 13, and I agree with him. I sunk about 20 hours into that game and finally got tired of the hallway. Now, the hallway is in every game, as you pointed out, but depending on the amount of freedom, the amount of the ways that you hide the fact that the hallway is there. I mean, games are linear, especially RPGs, but they branch out. They give you freedom to explore, the freedom to do extra things, to explore and do extra things. And this is where Final Fantasy X, as much as it was a linear game, you ended up in giant environments you'd spend an hour or two in, doing stuff, running around getting chests, killing monsters for crap. You had stuff to actually do and explore. It wasn't just a hallway. Final Fantasy XII, for as much as I personally didn't like the characters and therefore couldn't get into the game, that game had fucking branching areas in its dungeons, in its giant areas. Yes, there was still a point A and a point B, but how you got there was your own damn idea. It wasn't just point A to point B. Then comes along Final Fantasy XIII, and this game basically concentrates everything that is wrong with the hallway scenario, in that you never leave it.
It's almost like, if I can interrupt here for a second, it's almost like someone went, hey, all games are just hallways, right? So let's distill it to its purest form. Why bother with all that other crap? While forgetting that the other crap is part of what makes the hallway endearing.
Exactly. I mean, yes, in Final Fantasy XIII, for those that will argue with me, there is the occasional little branch, and if you look back, you will totally agree with me that there are very little branches before you have to return to the fucking hallway. Every encounter is actually planned. All the enemies in your path are planned. You'll take out so many of them before going to the next boss because you've got to be of a certain strength, blah, 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 blah. But you never leave the fucking hallway. And I know somebody out there right now is probably going to be listening to this and saying, oh, but in Area X, you were able to go around and talk to people. Yes, there is a couple small areas in 13 that does this. The place that I quit, and spoiler, I don't believe I have to say this, but when you get to the quote-unquote good part of the game, 20 plus hours in, and you get to Grand Pulse, there is an area you come across where all of a sudden the hallway has ended. You're in an area that resembles very much Final Fantasy X or 12. And you're just like, holy crap, that looks like a big guy. That's awesome. Look at this open area and all these monsters, and this is awesome. What do you mean this area is not meant to be gone through until the very end? I'm not supposed to do this until the game's over? You fuckers.
Virtual hallway.
And that's where I quit. Because almost every monster in the area was so big that it basically looked at you and you died. It was not intended for going through when you got there. Fuck you, Square.
Yeah, I think the big issue is like we've both said, you have to disguise it. Final Fantasy Tactics is a big hallway too. And it's literally that in its world map and shit, right? And it's just battles, just travel to and battle in between, right? But those battles are super interesting and in-depth. And having not played 13, because I avoided it like the plague, watching like you and Spoonie and others play it, I don't see anything in that battle system that makes me want to endure the hallway.
It kept me going for a long time because I actually found the battle system enduring or keeping me playing it. However, back onto the hallway for other games, you mentioned Halo, you mentioned Gears of War. Both of them, very much hallways. However, Halo 1 was pretty much the hallway. Room, battle, room, battle, room, battle. Very much like Final Fantasy Tactics.
I would argue that every Halo is the hallway.
But let me finish.
Go on.
They all are the hallway, yes. But this is where a developer has learned. Because Halo 2 and Halo 3 had larger areas, had multiple pathways to get to certain areas, whereas Halo 4 was a step backwards, where it was much more enclosed spaces and the hallway again. Whenever I refer to the hallway now, it's going to be in the derogatory sense.
Sure, but
Gears of War, especially, well, actually no, all three of them, all four of them. Each time, there was more than one way to get through an area. It hid the hallway sense in the way that you could go up areas, you could go down areas, you could... I'm not going to count the huddling because that's just wall combat, but it hid the fact that you were in the never-ending hallway by giving you large areas to play with, and every time you go through that area, you're probably not going to do the same thing twice.
Now,
that is part of the illusion that they can use to make it not Halo 1's library.
Now, I partially agree with you, and I partially don't. To be fair to Halo 4, my issues with it involve its leveling system and its QuickTime events that don't need to be there. I had no issues with its level structure that I thought was actually Halo-esque and okay. And Gears of War, I think it's a little more constrained than you're making it out to be. I love Gears of War, do not get me wrong, but the variety in Gears of War and in Halo don't come from this deviation from their quote-unquote hallways, not in the derogatory sense, but specifically from the fact that how you deal with the obstacles in the hallway, namely the encounters, are varied. You can grab specific weapons or you can grab others. There's a bit of randomness to enemy spawns. They'll mix it up. They'll teach you how to use cover in Gears. They'll put you in a situation where you have less cover. They'll put you in a situation where guys circumvent cover. They'll put you in a situation where you don't really need cover, but you have to move. They'll vary it up, and they'll make the obstacles interesting. And what I get from Final Fantasy XIII is that it doesn't make that interesting. It's that enemies are placed so that you can level up exactly as much as you need to fight a boss. And that's part of the problem. And I know it's problematic to design weapons and growth systems that give you variety because you can break them. Vanish Doom. Quick. In any game with quick in it. But the issue is that when it's invariant, it has to be really high quality invariant. It has to be like Castlevania good, which even there had sub-weapons.
Fair enough.
Indeed.
We are seeing more and more of the bad hallway syndrome style games as things go by. I think in a lot of cases, game companies are trying to focus more on... And yeah, you're going to laugh at me on this. Storyline. The scripting, they're finding it hard to put that into a more dynamic system. Again, Gears of War and everything else still had a good storyline to it. But as the systems become more powerful, I think we'll see larger and larger and larger areas where more shit can happen. More dynamic, more random stuff. But the hallway, especially from Square Enix, is becoming more and more and more diluted up to 13. 13-2 changed up a little bit, so it wasn't quite so much as bad as the hallway, but hallway still it is.
I just want to point out, I don't hate storytelling in games. I think that storytelling in games needs to either be absent or fulfill a purpose. It needs to enhance the mechanics in the game, or at least provide an interesting backdrop. If the storytelling in a game is suitably complementary, it can be an important cornerstone of a game without overshadowing the game. But when a developer is looking to focus on the story first, and the mechanics are just a means to an end, that, I believe, is not gaming anymore. And that's when you get these hallways and these boring games that really aren't games. Although they're totally games.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just unfortunate that the hallway syndrome is becoming so obvious that we're really not having any shoulder room to really go through things. You said it perfectly. If it's not a sandbox, we're stuck in the hallway, and in a lot of cases, they're not even trying to hide it anymore.
Yeah, and really, that has to be hidden. It's just like exposition. You have to weave it into narratives. It can't just be blurted out. But it has to be there, but it has to be hidden. It's one of the ironies of art, that there are certain elements you need, but they cannot be seen. Subtext is important in all art, and gaming is no different.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, I enjoyed this discussion. I hope you did as well.
Of course. Rip Microsoft the new one, talked about the hallway, and the new Guilty Gear game to come. Let us hope that it is a multi-console and not just a Xbox One game.
If it's Xbox One exclusive, holy fuck will I rage. I tell you what.
I'm saying it right now, if they do it, I am not buying an Xbox One for it.
It's okay, I'll lug my entire boat of a system over and we'll play it there.
No, you won't.
No, you won't. I don't want that thing in my house. Before we sign off, I just want to explain to folks that, sometimes you don't see us post an episode for a while. We have an irregular posting schedule because both Dave and I are busy folks. We work full time, and outside of work, we have a variety of social and personal obligations and goals and dreams that we work towards. So, shout outs to having those, and please don't worry if you don't see us update for a bit. We're not dead. Hopefully. And we're not giving up, hopefully. It's just that we have an irregular posting schedule. Sometimes we'll post 4 episodes in a month. Sometimes we'll post 1 every 2. It all depends.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we would like to get more episodes out, but as anybody who actually follows us knows, we don't actually write out a script for these things. We don't have, an actual outline for stuff. You hear how we feel at the exact moment that we're speaking. So it's unscripted. You're hearing what we really do feel. And to be honest, recently there hasn't been too much for us new to rage at that has been raged at by 1,000 other people. Yes, you hear us swear. Well, you hear me swear a lot. You hear us.
Dave.
There you go, thank you. You hear us bitch and complain about a lot of things, but we like to think that when we do, we're giving you at least decent information. We have been caught unaware on a few things, but that, especially on this one, we didn't want to get into a whole crap ton of rumors by doing this 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, because just like everybody else, we got tired of the rumors. And we'd much prefer to start talking about the reality of things that, unfortunately, we still wish we could wake up from. That happened today.
Excellent nightmare allegory. Anywho, this has been Carlos.
And this has been Dave.
Signing off, folks. Take it easy.
Adios.
So, if you've liked what you heard, you want to leave us some feedback, you want to give us some criticism, whatever, our podcast site is tfgtg.blogspot.com, where you can also find the feed link and our YouTube channel.
You can also find us on Twitter at tfgtg. Yeah. There's no way to continue that. So
There's no way to continue that sentence.
Please leave us some feedback. We accept good and bad. We will usually respond, seeing as we have such a small group.
We do have thousands of millions of followers, so we might not respond to you right away.
Sure, let's go with that.